All right, everyone, thanks for tuning in to Gas Candy. And if you're already subscribed to the channel, welcome back. And if you're not, why haven't you yet? We're back from a little bit of hiatus. We had some behind the scenes stuff we had to take care of. A little bit of sickness, a little bit of this, a little bit of that. You know, it's not important, but I figured I should just fill you in on what's been going on. Speaking of, we have some new projects coming up. This just happens to be one of them. This is a 1987 Firebird, all tube chassis frame. We picked this thing up not too long ago, or rather my dad picked this thing up a little while ago, just as a rolling chassis. It came up online and the deal was just really too good to pass up. So he went ahead and got it, and again, no powertrain. Big surprise. No worries though, because he has a plenty multitude of motors and transmissions that we could pick from to put in this thing. And what we decided to go with, we went with the adage, go big or go home. So we dropped in a 565 big block and a 2-speed power glide. Big block's putting out right about 800 horse, give or take. So, you know, not too much, but definitely enough to get this girl down the track. She's only clocking in probably about 2,100 pounds. I'd say, I mean, she's a light girl. So with the motor and training combo that we put in, it's going to require a little bit of wiring, a little bit of finagling, a little bit of cursing to get everything to work right. So stick with us. This is our new project that we're getting ready on, and we're going to try to have her done before the 2023 drag racing season starts. So now it's time to install the new header studs that we got for our big block Firebird. We picked these APR studs up at our local speed shop. Actually, our local speed shop isn't even anywhere near us. It's in Wilmington, Delaware. It's called Positive Performance. Bill Norris runs it down there. Definitely knows what he's talking about, knows his stuff. He's the guy to go to if you need anything in the area. We're using studs instead of bolts. To be honest, it's just a little bit more convenient. But we're going to go ahead and we're going to get them in, and we're going to follow them up with some new gaskets that we got from Mr. Gasket, part number 153. He's going to work out just fine on the application that we're using them for. So let's get to it. Well, thank God it's hotter than hell, because I wouldn't want it to be too comfortable. God, I love that sound. It's like opening a jar of peaches.
Make all the demons quiet, yeah. We were built to thrive, yeah. I think that we've all had enough. What keeps you up at night, yeah. Make all the demons quiet, yeah. We were built to thrive, yeah. I think that we've all had enough, yeah. I think that we've all had enough. Sick of dealing with the old plan. They know that we're calling it wrong. You got me like, oh yeah. I think that we've all had enough.
Okay guys, so the fitment issue that we're having is on the number 8 cylinder. And since we shoehorned this big block into this car, even though the tube chassis is designed for it, when you make these headers, sometimes they need a little valley here, and this one doesn't have it. So in order to get this right, these are the nuts that we usually use to hold the header on. But we can't fit the wrench onto the nut once we get it on. So we had to go to Old Tractor Supply and get a fine thread bolt that has the standard 6 sides on it so that we can actually get the wrench, not this size, but a 1/2 inch, in there if we ever have to take it off again. So once we get that on, it'll be easy peasy lemon squeezy. Alright guys, so we got the headers mounted up good and solid. That's the end of phase 1, which moves us right along to phase 2, getting the transmission tail mounted up to the transmission tail cross member. As you can see, there's a nice gap in here. I really don't want to use a rubber mount in this application, but unfortunately it's all I have right now. I'll order a polyurethane mount after this, but the good thing about a polyurethane mount is it's the same dimensions and measurement as your stock mount. So what we're going to do is we're going to mount this up to the transmission, take this piece of steel, get our measurement over here, and we're going to cut and weld and make it all one piece.
Everyone wrong, I won't stop to the top, so you better back off and get lost. I'ma stay loud, stay proud, never running out, never heading south. I'll be spreading out, call it word of mouth, can't put me down, I'll be getting loud. You can have it douse, not what I'm about, have your cloud, it be raining now. I keep making sound, go another round, I'm legend bound, can't stop me now.
You don't wanna fuck with me, a slow burn like a disease. Just tell me that I can and I'll show you things that you couldn't believe. Just tell me that I can. Just tell me that I can. Just tell me that I can. Just tell me that I can.
Cause I just wanna hear it out your mouth, yeah. Give me fuel, it's a tool that I use to go ahead and run my mouth, yeah. I take shots, I take loss, I make shots, I miss lots. That's how you get big box, you get yachts, you swing lots and pop off a big shot. I ain't done chasing, got big dreams, bigger things, impatient. Who's at the top think they need replacement? Who's at the top think I'm gonna erase them? Face it, I don't give up quick, I don't give up, I won't give up this. Cause I know that I want it, know that I'm on it, I'll make it, I promise.
Alright guys, so we got our cross member welded last night and we got it all ground down and painted a lovely shade of black. We're going to get ready to go ahead and install that in the car. We went down to Tractor Supply where they do in fact supply tractors and got some hardware that we're going to need. So now that phase 2 is done, we're going to go with the natural progression, which leads us right on to phase 3. Installing this, we're going to use the stock rubber mount for the transmission just for now. That's actually going to be replaced with a solid mount, but for right now it's going to serve the purpose that we need it to serve. So let's get into it.
Just tell me that I
Okay, so we got our headers in, we got our spark plugs in, and we have our carburetor on. I don't know if my dad's going to use that carburetor, but that's the plate we have. So we're just going to set it on there for now. At the very minimum, it's covering up a hole that actually leads into the engine, so basic protection. So we're going to move on to the alternator. We put this alternator on. This is the one that actually came off the Chevelle, and that's actually where we got the motor from. But the Chevelle doesn't have a motor plate, and the Firebird does. And what we found out is that the power lead out of the alternator, I don't know if you can see it or not, is actually touching the motor plate and will ground out. So that's not a good thing. So we're going to have to clearance that out before we can set the alternator in its permanent home for good. So that's what we're going to do. I'm using my metric adjustable. If you don't get that joke, you're probably watching the wrong channel. And as you can see, the bolt left us a nice little marker. In here is our adjustment, so the hole is going to go right here. I think that should be gravy. I've never used Milwaukee before, so we're going to test this one out. They're not an endorsement or anything, but we'll see how they do. I should be wearing safety glasses, but I know the rules. That means I can break the rules. That D-Walt's got some torque.
Go with the one for better tap.
I did bring the one with the dead battery. I'll be right back. Okay. Back with a smaller battery.
And what you drilling into the side of the goddamn thing.
Well, that was ridiculously long and painful. Don't do what we do, kids. Get the right tool for the right job. Next time on gas canning, my dad gets $1,000 in electric ratchet wrenches. Can we use that as a tax break? We're helping out the needy, you know what I mean? He's not needy. Yes, he needs these. Voila! Oh, that's so pretty. But more importantly, it's going to work. There you go. Ta-da! All right. All right, guys, boy, whew. I tell you, man, it wasn't cold when we started this, but it definitely got there in a hurry. I almost had to turn on the dinosaur burner just to make it warm in here. Goodness gracious. Anyway, so we got the headers on, and boy, they were tighter than that Priest and Footloose, but we got them in. Again, a little bit of cursing. That's where the cursing comes in. Got the bracket made for the transmission. I'm pretty confident I smashed my finger. I don't know yet because the blood hasn't returned to my fingertips, so I can't feel it. But we got that made, got the headers on. I was able to actually get the alternator on. We did have to cut a little hole in the front plate to make room for the energizer bolt for the cord. It's too cold to think right now. Whatever the cord is that charges the alternator, that thing. So we got the hole cut out for that. Got the drive shaft in. What else? Yeah. That and that. So we're definitely on track. I say we're on track now because it's just the beginning of the off season and it's nice and cold out. But right now it's looking like everything's going to be okay. But everything always looks that way at the beginning. So next week we're going to start on the front, hopefully get the radiator in and start hooking up some lines and find out what all this spaghetti wiring is that we came across. It's very concerning. So make sure you stick around if you want to see what happens and see if we can't get this pig fired up. As always, make sure you like and subscribe so you stay up to date on all of our future content. But thank you guys, and see you on the next one.